Good morning.
It's Friday. Woohoo!
Happy October
2nd.
1st? Second? Third?
Second.
Second. Oh,
We're on the
October
2nd already. Yeah.
Yeah. We're just kind of following into October.
That's it. We're so glad you are here. I am Kim Spillers.
And I'm Frank Spillers, and welcome to Rural Community Solutions TV live stream.
So I have to introduce Cece. For those of you on the podcast, I'm holding a stuffed raccoon. Her name is Cece. She is our company mascot. She helps us to welcome, understand, comfort, and appreciate ourselves and others. She helps us to be WUCA. That's what helps to make healthy people, healthy families, healthy communities. It is part of our philosophy that guides us as we work with Rural Community Solutions to design family-friendly, youth-centered places. We're glad you're here. Thanks so much.
And part of that family-friendly youth-centered place is building civility. It's building an environment where people get along in your community. And that's what Rural Community Solutions is all about, is how to help you design that environment to where people do get along and you attract people that might have a home-based business or entrepreneurs, or in this day and age, they might just telecommute. But what we're finding out more and more, specifically during this crisis, is that people are choosing where they want to live. And that's becoming very, very evident with people wanting to move out of the population areas because of the COVID spread. So is your community ready to attract the type of person that you want? And today's episode, we're going to be talking about what do millennials want? What's the Generation Z? Who are Generation Z and who are the millennials? What are those age groups? What do they want? What are they looking for? Because if you don't design your community to attract them, then you won't attract them. I mean, there are certain things that each generation wants. Now, you might also be a community out there that just wants to be a retirement community and attract retirees.
That's great.
That's great. Everybody's going to retire, but that's what you're going to attract. So focus on what you want to attract. What we do is we help communities design the family-friendly, youth-centered places that attract people. And that's what this live stream is all about, is how do you think like a young family, think like what you want, think like an entrepreneur. Right. And so as you think like an entrepreneur, you will attract an entrepreneur and support an entrepreneur economy.
We feel that is really important for rural communities. Recruitment strategies have been very popular and very effective for decades. But what we think is the better solution, especially now for rural communities, is entrepreneurship. Over the course of Frank's career, for sure. It has just proven over and over that small business, and we know that 98% of the jobs that are created are from your existing businesses and helping them to expand, or helping startups in your kids, in your young people, and your retirees. They want to have a second career. They have had a great idea bubbling for ages, and they want to do something with it. Entrepreneurship is definitely a valuable asset and economic development and community development approach for rural communities.
And so we are going to talk today about what the world of work wants. All this week, we have been talking about youth engagement. How do you engage the youth? We started out on Monday talking about a process that we use called coaching in the classroom. In other words, taking elements of how do you motivate an athlete and you put them in the classroom. And we have gotten phenomenal results out of that. In fact, one of our students out of there, I've got to tell the story. One of our students out of there, boy, she would come to school one day goth, all black, okay, and then she would come the next day in a flowered shirt with purple hair or yellow hair or green hair. You never knew how she was going to come to school. But she came to school and she was very much at risk of not graduating on time with her class because she was failing classes. Sometimes she would get there, sometimes she wouldn't. She would come to school, but she might be late. She didn't really participate with other kids because she was different, or she didn't
No, she didn't participate in extracurricular activities.
Yeah,
That's another thing. And
she on there. And so because she was different, she was kind of in, when you go to school and you have your cliques, and you're in your community. By the way, your community has those cliques too. So be careful of that. We feel them all the time. And most of never mind. I won't get it.
That's a whole nother
yeah,
episode.
it's going down the road that I don't want to go down today.
It's okay.
All right. So when she came into our classroom, as we taught her the workplace skills the coaching in the classroom skills of what workers want. They want you to show up on time. They want you to do your work. They want you to play well with others. They want you to interact with others. You will be evaluated constantly. All right. And so how do you show that? How do you build those habits? She enjoyed it so much that she came to us one day and she said, in order for me to graduate, I'm going to have to divorce my parents. And we dug a little bit deeper and asked her why. And what we found out is that her parents didn't graduate from high school. And so the environment in her home was that if I didn't have to do it, you don't have to do it. So I don't really want to support you in moving forward because you might outshine me as my child. And then as a parent, I would be a failure because I didn't support you going through high school. And so that was the environment that she grew up in. And that was the environment that she had going to school and then going back home. And so she adopted the formula that we use of C plus A equals R, or CAR, or look at her circumstances, but what results does she want? And she looked at the results that she wanted. She actually went in with her classroom, made that goal of, I'm going to graduate on time with my class. They made that goal in the 9th grade. And so for 4 years, they worked on helping support each other through that goal so they all could graduate. Now, this is a small school, so there was like 33 people within that classroom, within the graduating class. And they made it through. And she saw her results. She did a visualization exercise. She knew what she needed to do as far as her actions. So she changed her circumstances to get the results that she wanted by her actions over the course of her school career. She did graduate on time with her class. She went on to post-secondary education to a community college, very high GPA. Right now, she's a family woman. She's got 2 great kids, small, great kids, and has a huge heart, all because she recognized the environment that she was in, knew what she wanted to do and where she wanted to go, and then followed those actions of how to get there. All because she made the decision that she needed to be different than the environment she was growing up in. And so that is the thing that we need to do, especially as we engage our youth, is to create the environment to where they can become what they want to become. And so with that, then we talked to Craig Schroeder on Tuesday, and we talked to him about why the engagement, why do the engagement, and what value does it have through the school system, and how do you do that? And surveyed more than 40,000 individuals in the school system, ages are grades 7 through 12, and got phenomenal results. And then on Wednesday, we did a deep dive into the importance of a early care and education infrastructure. What infrastructure do you have in your community to take care of the kids 0 to 5? If you are to attract a family, they're going to bring young children with them. So you have to have that infrastructure, but that infrastructure has to be such that it engages those youth also, because as we pointed out, 80% of the brain development happens in the first 3 years. So there is no filtering mechanism in the young child. They are just absorbing their environment. So what they see, what they hear, what they feel, what they taste, what they smell, all is part of their environment. It's real. That becomes their reality. That's why an environment in the first 6 years basically needs to really be consistent, and it needs to be intentional of how to raise that next workforce, because they are being created as the next workforce. right? And then yesterday we talked about what did we talk about yesterday?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
you
it
had
was
to ask,
yesterday.
didn't you? It
Oh,
goes
was-
by so quickly.
Yeah, what did we talk about? The
yeah.
healthy community.
That's
What
right.
creates a
That's so
healthy community?
Gosh, sorry about that.
Sorry, yeah.
Little
I
brain tune.
slept and said. So what creates a healthy community? And that is putting all these components into a healthy environment, but also healthy foods. What's a healthy food system? As we talked about, healthy brain, healthy gut. And that creates that total person of how that is. So speaking of healthy guts.
Well, I do need to go, but I did want to just kind of give a wrap up. So what we are doing, what we're very intentionally
laying out,
trying to get across, is we're building an ecosystem. Our thinking traditionally has been that silos. You've got business and you have education and you have, the philanthropy and you have volunteers, and everything is individualized in a community. And what we really want to change the thinking about is that we are an ecosystem. We are independent. We are inextricable from one another. We complement one another. We need to work together. We need to have collaborative leadership. And so we're building the case for all of you listeners and all of you viewers to be able to think about your community in new ways. We are really excited about the possibilities post-COVID, what communities can do. Are you taking the time while we have this downtime? Have you moved past being panicked, and have you come into the mindset that we can do some really cool things? And what sorts of conversations are taking place in your groups, in your community, so that when whatever this looks like afterwards, that you have some plans in place and you can do some really amazing sorts of things. So I need to scoot because I have a live chat. Inspiring Healthy Living in the Midwest is a Facebook group, and I'm part of that today. And we're going to be talking about, with winter coming on, what's a clean home look like? What kinds of things does that have? So I wish you well. Have a great weekend. Thanks so much for joining us this week, and we look forward to seeing you again on Monday. Take care.
This is why we don't walk around with our camera, because we have a home-based business. So, what they're going to be talking about, we have piles. I have piles of paper. We have piles all over. We're entrepreneurs. We work in our environment, and that's okay. But today, what I want to talk to you about is generations. Now, here's the generations that we're going to separate today. And this is from the Center of Generational Kinetics. All right. The Center for Generational Kinetics studies different generations and their characteristics. Now, in the Gen Z element, they're the oldest members of the Gen Z are now approximately 18 to 23 years. Okay. So we are in the Gen Z element right now, and they are entering the workforce. But here's the deal. They are driving all emerging digital recruiting and job application trends. So if you are looking for Gen Zs, you need to be where they're looking for a job. You need to be where they are looking for a place to live. Are you digital? Do you have a digital, or are you of the mindset of we're doing too much technology? We shouldn't do all this technology. We should do it all face-to-face. Maybe that's your philosophy. Maybe that's your perception. Maybe that's where you're coming from. But really, you're missing. You are thinking this way, and they're doing this way. What you think, they're not going to be thinking like you. You're thinking differently, okay? And so you really need to start cross-thinking patterns and think like they think. Do what they want to do to attract them, okay? So you need to find out what they want. Millennials, the next generation, millennials are now in the age group of 24 to 42. So who and what do 24 to 42-year-olds have? They have young children. They have started their families. They have kids in school, and they're looking for more family-oriented areas. Some of those key markers of adulthood are they're starting their professional career, right? They have marriage. They're buying a home. But above all are happening later in life than previous generations. So they aren't as quick, okay, as what we did. Our way, my age group was, okay, you buy a home, you get married, you buy a home. All right, maybe that's in your early 20s, right after you graduate from college, traditional. I wasn't a traditional student. I waited 10 years before I went to college. So I had a home and I had kids, and then I went to college. I was just a little backwards. So I don't do anything traditional, and I just kind of move forward. So as you're looking at the millennials, okay, you're looking at the millennials of 24 to 42, professional. They are looking for an environment that incorporates their family life. That this is what the millennials are really looking for. And when we about last month, a month ago or so, we talked to Matthew Hoagland. Matthew is a millennial, wrote a book called Think Small. It's a millennial's guide to mindful living in rural America. And so Matthew, right, was talking about how he chose where he wants to live. And coming from an upstart community that was a kind of a micro metro area to a small rural community was a choice. They looked around for how they wanted to live, what they wanted within their environment, and chose a small rural community and a small county in northern North Carolina. And so millennials are looking for a work-life balance. This is what they're looking for in their work. Their family is a desire for flexible work. Why they want the flexible work is because they're family. They want the time to have family time. They want the time to choose between, do I work or do my family? The flexibility to choose that way. They want to save more time. They want to save more money. And they're looking to ditch the commute stress. All right. So commuting 40, 50, 60 minutes, they want to get rid of. They want to commute 5 minutes. They want to walk. And that's what Matthew looked at. He goes, I can walk to work all the time now, even if it's not, I am just about 6 blocks away from where I work. And so I want to walk to work. I don't need to get into the car. I don't need to fight that traffic. All right? And so they also are looking, how do they telecommute 100% of the time? So in looking at the prospects of this COVID, what it's doing, we have more people teleworking right now than we ever have before. Some of them are forced because of they're closed. They're doing work from home. They have the businesses have had to help them set up their home office. But what businesses are now are now finding out is that it works. Those workers are productive. They don't have to worry about, are they really working? Because yes, they are working. What's interesting is that the percentage of workers that wanted to telecommute, according to Gallup, has reduced a little bit because of the experience of people telecommuting. Maybe they had a bad experience, but it's dropped by about 10% or so, people wanting to telecommute of the total workforce, not just of one generation, but of over the tele workforce. They are looking at, how do I telecommute? And that's right around 55, 56% of the total workforce wants to telecommute. They want to telecommute about 80% of the time. Right? So the other things that millennials want are flexible and alternative work schedules. So really, millennials are looking for an entrepreneurial opportunity. Maybe they don't want to own their own business, but they want to think like an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur jumps into their business, is passionate about what they do, but also is flexible of how they can do business. They can work around their family schedule. They can work when they need to. They can just drop everything and go to a game. They can drop everything and go to a school function. That's what the value of owning your own business is. You are your own boss. So millennials are looking for that. And so as you are looking as a community, as you are looking to attract millennials, okay, Are you offering this type of policy? Do you have family-friendly workplaces that offer these types of policies to where there is a work-life balance? There is a flexible work schedule. That you're allowing them to telework, to work from home, if possible, if their job, if they can do that on their profession. And so with what the world of work wants is they want the workers then, as we let's look at it from the other side, they want people that can work as a team. They want people of decision makers. They want problem solvers. They want people that can plan and organize and communicate with other people. Now, this is what a workplace wants out of their workers. So if the millennial wants flexibility, and if the millennial wants time to do with their family, they need to learn the habits of working as a team, solving the problems, organizing and prioritizing the work, right? And communicating, and then how to find that information, how to research for that information. So is that any different than what a community wants? You want people to move into your community to work as a team. You want people to move into your community that can make decisions and solve problems. You want people to move into your community that will become involved, but also help to organize and prioritize work, how to do things. I mean, these are skills of not only of a worker, but of a volunteer. How do we match those? And how do we give what the millennials want? How do we give these opportunities for people to come into your community that wants to do this type of work? Creating that environment, they want to create. How do we create the relationships? How do we create engaging atmospheres and engaging environments to where people can be what they want to be, and people can be valued and listened to how they have great ideas? That's the process. That's the thought process. That's the foundation of how do you build a great community. Between the four pillars of relationships, engagement, collaboration, and building entrepreneurs, you will build those environments. Now, all next week, we're going to be talking about how do you become that community spark plug or a spark plug. Spark plugs, people, are all over. We'll define what a spark plug is. So you'll have to come back on Monday because we'll start with that, the definition of a spark plug. Because spark plugs are exactly what it entails. Think of your car. Your car will not start without a spark plug. So if you take our car formula, circumstances plus actions equal results, that car will not start without a spark plug. We need to develop community spark plugs that will take action to get the results that the community wants. We need that spark plug to generate the excitement. We need that spark plug to generate that spark that's going to move the car forward, going to get to the results that you want. So all next week, we're going to be talking about where that spark plug comes from. How do you become the spark plug that you want to be? Okay. And so I want to leave you with this thought today as we close out our week. Because you make decisions every week, but I want you to focus on three elements of decisions that you might make. Okay? As you make these decisions, there's three elements that you can talk about. Okay, the decisions you make every day is what will you focus on? All right, what do you focus on? Because what you focus on, you get. So what you focus on is a decision point. What am I going to focus on today? Because what I focus on, I get. So that's a decision point. The next thing as you make a decision, so what does it mean? If I focus on this, okay, what does that mean? What will my end result be? What does that mean for me? And then the third thing is, what am I going to give up? Because as I said yesterday, as we tried, multitasking is okay, but multitasking is not efficient. Right? And when you multitask, because your brain can only focus on one thing at a time productively. So your decision point is, what are you going to focus on? What does it mean? What are the end results? What am I going to get? All right. And then what am I going to give up? If I focus on this, what will I not focus on here? So is what I am focusing on today the most important as I move forward? So what are you going to be focusing on? What is your community focused on right now? Do you have many different silos going on, so you have different focuses and not working together? Because that's inefficient. That's like multitasking, and the collective vision, the collaborative vision is not into place. You need to bring those silos together. You need a collaborative vision around healthy communities, how you think, what your attitude is versus your food systems and the nutrition that you're feeding, not only physically feeding, but mentally feeding. And everybody is working on different aspects where their passion is, but do you all come together as a collaborative to look at where is everybody moving? And that is that collaborative vision, okay? And so at Rural Community Solutions, we want you to design your family-friendly, youth-centered place that will attract people, the people that you want, because the only way that rural America is going to grow is if we build a community that attracts people and will turn our leadership over to the people that we attract for community succession. Who's going to take over the lead as you're gone? All right. What are you doing to build the environment that people are going to be taking over? And so it's like what I said yesterday, is that we are not inheriting our community from our leaders right now. What we are doing is building the legacy for our grandchildren to take over. Are we building a culture? Are we building that legacy enough for our grandchildren to build upon and make it better than we have it right now? Or are we just trying to make our environment better for us as we're living in it? That's a difference. Are you doing legacy planning, or are you just doing current planning? Now, we're also on the podcast, so you can either watch this in a video form on our YouTube or Facebook channel, or you can go to our podcast sites and you can catch these whenever you want. As you're driving down. If you go to anchor.fm/Frank Spillers, that is our podcast collection site. We're also on Spotify. We're on Apple. We're on Google. We're on Radio Public. We're on Breaker. We're on Pocket Cast. So you can catch these video casts on our podcast and listen to them at your convenience. And we're in the process of loading most of our broadcasts on there, so you can go back and listen to as many times as you want, any one of these that you want. I hope that you have enjoyed this week of engaging youth, because youth are currently in your community. They're not just your future. Engagement of youth is extremely important, that you can't overlook as part of your economic development, community development, building strategy. You need to bring youth into what you're working on and who you're working with. All right. Come back next week. We're here Monday through Friday every week at 11:30 a.m. Central Daylight Time, as we talk about designing family-friendly, youth-centered places. Next week, we are going to be talking about become a community spark plug. How do you do that, and what are you looking for that? It's all part of thinking like an entrepreneur, because when you think like an entrepreneur, you attract those entrepreneurs. So I'm Frank Spillers, and on behalf of Kim and I, we really appreciate your attention. We appreciate you watching. We hope that you have getting content out of this. Let us know. give us a like, give us a comment on our Facebook page or on the YouTube channel of what's resonating for you. Or you can even email us at frank@ghorizons.com or kim@ghorizons.com. We'd love to hear from you. So stay tuned, come back often, and we hope that you have a great weekend. I'm Frank Spillers. This has been Rural Community Solutions live stream. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.